Why you avoid happiness. A journey into the hidden resistance to joy and the path to unconditional freedom. Welcome to Mindell, where audiobooks transform your mind. This audiobook was written and created by Mindell, dedicated to helping you attract your life. If you enjoy this content and want more audiobooks designed to inspire and elevate your mindset, make sure to subscribe to our channel. You can also listen to us on Spotify, download the ebook version, and support our work. All the links you'll need are provided in the description below. Now, sit back, relax, and let Mindell guide you toward attracting the life you desire. Chapter 1. The Great Illusion of Pursuit. You've spent most of your life chasing happiness. It's been a silent agreement, an invisible contract signed in childhood, perhaps even before you had the words to articulate it. A script handed to you by society, family, media, and culture. The story goes like this. If you achieve enough, acquire enough, become enough, then, and only then, you'll be happy. So you chase. You chase the job, the one with the right title and the right salary, the one that proves your worth to others and maybe to yourself. You chase the perfect partner, the one who will finally make you feel loved, seen, and safe. You chase the money, the status, the lifestyle, the appearance, the recognition. You even chase healing, as if peace is something to earn like a paycheck. But have you ever paused, truly paused, to ask yourself a radical question? Do I actually want to be happy? Not happy when everything is perfect. Not happy if I lose 10 pounds or when I finally find love. Not happy once the chaos settles or after I've ticked off everything on my to-do list. That's conditional happiness. And conditional happiness is a lie. It's brittle, inconsistent, and exhausting. It's based on the belief that joy is something outside of you, something to reach for, something to secure and protect. But what if happiness is already here? What if it has nothing to do with the conditions of your life, and everything to do with your willingness to receive it? That's unconditional happiness. The kind of joy that exists not because things are perfect, but regardless of whether they are. And here's the hard truth. That kind of happiness threatens the identity you've built around effort, struggle, and control. Unconditional happiness doesn't need a reason to exist. It doesn't wait for permission or proof. It simply is. But to accept that would mean confronting everything you've been told. It would mean unlearning your obsession with fixing, improving, acquiring, and becoming. It would mean admitting that much of your suffering hasn't been imposed by the world, but unconsciously chosen by you. Because here's the uncomfortable secret most people never admit. You say you want to be happy, but the truth is, you're afraid of what happiness would cost you. What would happen if you were just content? If you didn't need to constantly strive, chase, or hustle for peace? Who would you be if you stopped waiting for life to make you happy? The ego doesn't want that. It wants a purpose to prove, a struggle to justify, a role to play. Because if you no longer need anything to feel whole, then you are no longer controllable by others, by fear, by your own inner critic. And that kind of freedom is terrifying. So you keep pursuing, running, chasing, grasping. But deep down, the chase isn't working. And maybe, just maybe, it never was meant to. This is the beginning of a different path, a quieter one, a braver one, the path of remembrance, of returning, not to who the world told you to be, but to who you were before the world got loud, to the part of you that knows. Happiness isn't a pursuit. It's your birthright. Let's begin there. Chapter 2. The rules that keep you miserable. From the very moment you entered this world, you were given instructions, some spoken, some silently modeled. You were taught how to belong, how to be accepted, how to earn love, approval, and safety in the eyes of the world. Be quiet. Be good. Don't cry too loud. Get good grades. Be helpful. Be liked. Don't be too much. Don't be too soft. Don't make mistakes. Achieve, then you're worthy. Succeed, then you'll be enough. Please others, then you'll feel safe. Have, then you'll finally rest. And so, you built your life around those conditions, like invisible fences shaping every thought, every choice, every emotion. The truth is, no one ever sat you down and taught you joy. They taught you rules. Rules for how to be acceptable. Rules for how to deserve rest. Rules for when happiness is allowed. And without realizing it, you began to live your entire life according to a silent contract. A conditional agreement. It goes something like this. I'll allow myself to be happy only when the bills are paid, when the weight is lost, when your inbox is cleared, when your partner understands you, when your house is spotless, when your bank account hits a certain number, when you stop procrastinating, when you finally feel good enough, and on the list goes. But here's the question that undoes it all. What if that list is the very prison? What if you've been holding your own happiness hostage, awaiting ransom payments from external life? Because, let's be honest, how often do all those conditions align? How often do they all get checked off at the same time, in the same moment? And even when they do, how long does that happiness last before the next demand creeps in? You already know the answer. That's because the list is bottomless, and worse, it moves. Just when you get close, it shifts again. You finally feel worthy, and the bar rises. You finally achieve the goal, and a new goal appears. That's the trick of conditional happiness. It convinces you to keep climbing, but never lets you arrive. It's a form of spiritual self-punishment. You say to yourself, once I fix this, once I become that, then I'll feel peace. But peace never comes. Not because you're failing, but because you're chasing happiness through a maze designed to keep you lost. These rules weren't created by your highest self. They were inherited from culture, from wounded parents, from unconscious communities. And somewhere along the way, you began to believe they were true. But they're not. They were never true. What if you allowed yourself to feel good now? Not later, not after perfection, not after some future milestone, but now, in this breath, in this moment. What if you tore up the contract? What if you stopped waiting for the world to approve your happiness? Would that make you irresponsible? Would it make you unmotivated? Would it make you selfish? Or would it make you free? Here's a radical truth. You don't need a reason to feel whole. You don't need proof to feel peace. You don't need permission to feel joy. All of those when statements you've clung to, they were scaffolding. They gave structure to your suffering. But they're not you. They never were. And the longer you wait for the world to align, the longer you postpone your own liberation. You're not here to earn joy. You're here to remember it. The question isn't, when will I deserve to feel good? The question is, what would I become if I stopped believing I didn't? Chapter 3. Conditional versus unconditional. Conditional happiness is transactional. It says, give me everything I want, then I'll smile. But life doesn't barter. It surprises. It unfolds. It resists control. Unconditional happiness is presence. It's a choice. It doesn't demand a perfect day, a healed past, or a cooperative future. It is peace for no reason, joy without cause, acceptance without conditions. Chapter 4. Why you secretly avoid happiness. It sounds absurd, doesn't it? Why would anyone avoid happiness? Why would someone actively reject the very thing they spend their whole life chasing? And yet, beneath your surface-level desires, beyond your goals and affirmations and vision boards, there's a deeper truth most people never dare to confront. You're afraid of being happy. Not because you're broken, but because happiness, real happiness, threatens everything you've built your identity around. Let's unpack that. You say you want joy. You say you want peace. You say you want to feel free. But are you sure? Because if happiness were to fully arrive in your life right now, without conditions, without delay, what would you do with it? Could you hold it? Could you trust it? Or would you quietly sabotage it, like you've done before? Would you scroll past it, numb it with work, distract it with drama, delay it with self-doubt, or argue with it until it disappears? The truth is, many of us don't fear pain. We fear peace. Pain is familiar. Struggle is safe. It gives us something to fight against, something to control, something to earn love through. Happiness, though? It's terrifying because it requires surrender. It asks you to stop striving, to stop fixing, to stop clinging to your roles as the underdog, the achiever, the healer, the one who always pushes through. If you're happy, who will you be without your pain? For years, maybe decades, pain has been part of your identity. You've used it to connect with others, to justify your boundaries, to explain your stuckness. To avoid change, you've built a story around being the struggler, the fighter, the one who overcomes. It's noble. It's poetic. But it's also exhausting. So here's the terrifying question. What if there's nothing left to overcome? What if happiness isn't something you earn, but something you allow? That kind of happiness, the unconditional kind, isn't just unfamiliar. It's threatening. Because it shatters your entire model of the world. It dismantles the idea that life is a mountain you must climb to feel okay. It reveals that maybe you've been putting off happiness, not because you couldn't reach it, but because it would force you to let go of everything you've used to define yourself. Happiness would ask you to stop playing small, to stop needing chaos to feel alive, to stop using pain as proof of your worthiness. And maybe you're not ready for that yet. Because what happens when the excuses are gone? When you're no longer working on it? when you don't need a reason to feel good, you're left with something far more confronting than pain. You're left with power. The power to simply be, to live without conditions, to love without guarantees, to show up, not because you lack something, but because you overflow. That kind of happiness, it's not fragile. It doesn't rely on anyone's approval. It doesn't need to be defended or explained. But to get there, you'll have to grieve. Grieve the story of the struggler. Grieve the safety of self-sabotage. Grieve the identity you built around not quite there yet. This is why you secretly avoid happiness. Because real joy doesn't feel like the world you grew up in. And because part of you still believes you don't deserve it. But let me tell you the truth, your conditioning has tried to erase. You don't need to earn happiness. You just need to stop postponing it. You don't need to get it all right. You don't need to be healed completely. You don't need to achieve more, prove more, or become more. You only need to decide right now that your happiness doesn't have to wait. Because it's not out there. It's in you, and it's been waiting patiently for your permission. Chapter 5. The Carrot and the Stick. From the outside, your life might look driven, ambitious, productive, maybe even admirable. You wake up with a plan. You push yourself to stay on task. You count your wins and scold your failures. You move through your days like there's something to prove. And deep down, you're exhausted. Not from the doing, but from the way you've taught yourself to do. You've built a life on the back of a simple, ancient system. Punish yourself when you fall short. Reward yourself when you perform. The stick, the carrot, it starts early. Good grades, praise, misbehave, timeout, win, you're worthy, fail, you're forgotten. By the time you're grown, you don't even need someone else to enforce it. You do it to yourself. Didn't go to the gym, beat yourself up, worked overtime, feel proud for a second, until it's not enough again. Completed the to-do list? Allow yourself a little peace until tomorrow's list shows up. And so the game continues. You've domesticated yourself. Like a dog trained to sit, stay, and fetch for a treat, you wait to feel good until you've earned it. This is the lie that keeps you trapped. You believe your worth is transactional. That joy is something you unlock with enough effort. That rest is only for the deserving. That pleasure must be justified by pain. But here's the truth no one taught you. You were never meant to be your own captor. The carrot and the stick aren't tools of growth. They are tools of control. And most of your life has been lived in the name of control. Control your emotions. Control your outcomes. Control your image. Control your worth. But the cost of control is always the same. Freedom. Think about it. When's the last time you did something simply because it felt good? Not because it checked a box. Not because it earned praise. Just because it mattered to your soul. When's the last time you allowed yourself to feel joy without calculating whether you deserved it? You see, when your joy is conditional, you are never truly free. Because there's always one more hoop to jump through. One more goal to hit. One more, after this, then I'll rest. You keep reaching for the carrot, never realizing you've become addicted to the chase. Not because you love running, but because standing still feels like failure. And that's the wound. Stillness feels dangerous because love was only ever offered to the version of you that was doing. But here's a radical reframe. What if you didn't need the carrot? What if you stopped fearing the stick? What if your life wasn't a training ground for performance, but a sanctuary for presence? What if you replaced reward and punishment with compassion? Imagine waking up tomorrow and choosing rest without earning it, saying no without guilt, loving yourself in the middle of a mess. Not because you've achieved some perfect state, but because you no longer see yourself as a project to fix. The carrot and the stick were never love. They were fear, dressed up as discipline. It's time to remember, you are not a dog. You are not a robot. You are not a machine. You are a soul learning to soften, to trust, to live without bribes or threats. And in that letting go, you will remember who you were before you learned to chase. Chapter 6. The Identity Trap. You say, I'm a hard worker, I'm a provider, I'm a winner. But those identities come at a cost. Because when those roles don't make you happy, you're trapped. You cling to the label, even as it exhausts you. You wear it like armor, even when it weighs you down. Freedom begins when you let go of who you're supposed to be and start becoming who you really are. Chapter 7. The Sacred Detachment. Detachment isn't giving up. It's letting go of needing the outcome to feel whole. You can still build, still love, still strive, but from a place of fullness, not deficiency. Imagine tasting joy in the mundane, smiling during heartbreak, appreciating pain for its presence, not its absence. This isn't denial, it's awakening. Chapter 8. The Box Test. If you were locked in a room with nothing, no people, no titles, no success, could you still be at peace? Could you sit with yourself and feel enough? Most people can't, because their happiness is out there, in achievements, in approval, in action. But unconditional happiness begins when you can sit in a box and still feel alive. Chapter 9. Let the false fall away. Here's the hard part. If you truly embrace this path, your life might unravel. The business you chase, you may realize you never loved it. The relationships you cling to, they may be built on fear. The goals you obsessed over, they may be hollow. Let them fall. Anything inauthentic will. But what remains is real. Chapter 10. Choosing peace over perfection. This journey isn't about renouncing life. It's about reclaiming it. Unconditional happiness is not passivity. It's clarity. It doesn't mean you stop growing. It means you stop suffering as your price for growth. You don't need to chase the perfect life. You just need to stop postponing your peace. Because the truth is, happiness was never lost. You just forgot you were allowed to feel it. Final words. You were never broken. You were conditioned. And every condition can be unlearned. This isn't about doing more. It's about shedding what's false. It's about returning to the stillness beneath the striving, to the joy that doesn't need a reason, to the you that was whole before the world taught you otherwise. You don't have to earn your joy. You just have to stop refusing it. Let that be your practice. Let that be your freedom. Let that be enough.